Oops, let me just fix that. Okay. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen and this is my October wrap-up. So I started the month of October listening to an audiobook. I listened to the Call Me By Your Name audiobook narrated by Armie Hammer and written by Andre Aciman. I read Call Me By Your Name for the first time about 2 or 3 months ago, and I absolutely fell in love with the story and the characters, and I thought that Andre Aciman's prose was just absolutely freaking gorgeous. I really wanted to listen to this audiobook and it did not disappoint. I think that Armie Hammer has a fantastic voice and he does a really good job. Also, the story really works well. It's almost like Call Me By Your Name has been made for the medium because you spend most of the time that you are reading the story inside the main character's head. So when you actually have someone narrating to you and somebody actually reading the words out loud instead of you yourself reading it, it's almost like you're listening to the main character's thoughts. So I think that Call Me By Your Name really works as an audiobook, and the experience is actually kind of enhanced when you listen to it instead of reading it yourself. Then I read 4 physical books and I am going to talk about them from my least favorite all the way to my most favorite, which is what I do every single month. So my least favorite book of the month, even though I did give it 3 stars, so I liked it in some way, was a graphic novel titled Pablo. This is the second in the artist series that I've been reading. I read the first one, I think last month or the month before, I don't know. I really liked the Vincent van Gogh one and I thought that it was really lovely and it was beautiful, and I liked the Pablo Picasso one as well, but it was a lot longer. It's about 300 and something pages, so it is a pretty lengthy graphic novel, and I'm not the biggest fan of Pablo Picasso. I've never really liked him as an artist just because he was a total asshole, and he is kind of an asshole in this novel. And I also am not the biggest Cubism fan. I am obviously somebody that appreciates Cubism and understands its importance and the importance of Pablo Picasso, but I am not the biggest fan. So I think I went into it with that mindset and it did lessen the experience for me. But if you are somebody that really likes Pablo Picasso, then this is a graphic novel for you. I think that the novel really shines in its images. The novel is very well drawn. The paintings are beautiful. It has a lot of color. It's a lot more detailed than the Vincent van Gogh one. So I think that really the images is where this graphic novel shines. And the story basically follows Pablo Picasso's biggest inspiration, his biggest muse, and how her life is completely tied to this period of Pablo Picasso's life when he was really trying to make it into the art world. Then I read Wonder Woman: A Complete History, and this is a book all about Wonder Woman and her origins. I have never been the biggest fan of Wonder Woman just because I've never really been exposed to her until this year when the Wonder Woman movie came out, and I loved it so much. I thought it was brilliant and I really wanted to learn more about Wonder Woman and how she came to be, and this book is all about that. It's all about Professor Morrison, who was the creator of Wonder Woman, and his life. And he had a very interesting, unique life. He was part of a polyamorous relationship that really influenced Wonder Woman, and he had a very interesting view on women and on feminism, and this book is great for any Wonder Woman fan. It also talks about all of the different reinventions that Wonder Woman went throughout her life. Wonder Woman has been around for a really long time, and when it comes to comic books, superheroes sort of come and go, but Wonder Woman has really stand the test of time, and in this book you really see why that is. This is another one of those books where the illustrations is really where it shines. You have so many wonderful images of Wonder Woman in this book. Honestly, just gorgeous illustrations. And you also have some sets of comics, the full comics, which is really cool because I had never read a full Wonder Woman comic before, and it's really interesting to see what they were all about and some of the villains. You have chapters in here about the mascara, you have chapters in here about Wonder Woman villains and Greek and Roman myths, and it's just overall, I think, a very special book and one that any Wonder Woman fan would really enjoy. Then I read 2 novels, the first one being Revolutionary Road by Richard Yates, which I gave 5 stars, and I absolutely was so just completely amazed by this novel and so impressed by it. So Revolutionary Road follows a couple by the name of Frank and April Wheeler. They live in the 1950s, and it's really a story about suburban life and what it is to become an adult and have a family, and about the American dream, and if that dream is really worth it, and if that dream is really what we think it is. It was just an amazing, amazing novel, and I was so impacted by how much I could relate to the characters. I think that most people would go into Revolutionary Road thinking, well, I'm just gonna hate all of these characters because they're all horrible. But then when you actually read the story, you realize that they're so flawed in such a human way that for me, I personally could not hate any of them because I could see myself in all of them. And that made me angry and it made me frustrated, but I think that that is why this novel is such a classic. It's such a modern American classic because it really reveals something about all of us and about what it's like to grow up and about what it's like to have a life and wake up one day and realize that the life that you have may not be the life that you hoped, and you don't even know how you got into it, and you don't even know how you can get out of it. It's also a novel about dreams and about what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a man, a wife, a husband. And I just thought that Revolutionary Road was absolutely, absolutely brilliant. I'm also really happy that I read it for the first time when I'm in my 20s because I think that I can really relate to the characters a lot more. And if I had read this book when I was in my teen years, then I think some stuff would probably have gone over my head and I just wouldn't have been able to relate to it in the way that I have. So I just thought it was brilliant, and I highly, highly encourage everyone to read it. It's not a feel-good book in any way, but it is a realistic book about life and about the feelings that we all feel when we realize that we need to grow up. And then my favorite novel of the month was Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte. I have heard so many people talk about Agnes Grey when they talk about their favorite Victorian novels. And I never really understood why, because Agnes Grey is such a short book, and when you compare it to Emily Bronte's work and Charlotte Bronte's work, it kind of seems to go unnoticed. But my God, is it brilliant. I absolutely adore it. Agnes Grey is a Victorian novel that follows Agnes Grey. She is a young governess, and that's basically it. The novel just follows her life, her daily life as a governess, how she deals with other people, the struggles that she goes through, the prejudice that she encounters, and it's just amazing. It reads so honest, and I absolutely adored Agnes Grey as a main character. She was brilliant, and she had this determination to help her family, which I thought was so admirable. And she was also quite sassy at times, which I really enjoyed. I think that if you are somebody that wants to start on Victorian literature, then Agnes Grey is a perfect novel for you because, like I said, it's short, it's simple, but it's really enjoyable and it's quite great. So yeah, those were the books that I read in the month of October. Tell me what books you read. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you soon. Bye!